898.
Good morning, guys. What's up? How you guys doing? It's Bucky Dillon. So great to be with you on another fantastic morning. Looks like I'm having some issues with the headphones. So during this upcoming commercial break, I will deal with that. But otherwise, what's up, guys? How you doing? We are simultaneously live streaming on both Facebook and YouTube. So I'm excited for that. Kind of cool stuff, right? If you happen to be in the comment section, let me know what's going on. Address your questions, comments, concerns. Join in the conversation. I titled this episode "A New Hope." Why? Because we have so much going on that's actually really exciting. Okay, so first off, I want to give a huge shout out to Julia Morgan. She came and visited me here at the station yesterday, and we began working on the prototype for our prototype. The right word? I don't know. You guys let me know. The prototype for our Roar of the Rockies newsletter. So what I'm looking to do is that every Friday I go around talking to various businesses in the northern Colorado area and letting them know about KHNC and inviting them to come in and pre-record a single segment interview and just support local businesses, especially right now during these times when local businesses have been shut down forcibly by the government, sometimes for months. I mean, here in Colorado, it's a little different. A lot of businesses have been able to operate for the most part. It's good to see some concerts and such coming back, but every Friday I go around and I just introduce myself to business owners and invite them to check out the station, check out us, and let us see what we can do to help them. So, doing this, and one idea I had was to actually create a newsletter. What I mean by this, a little bit of an update as far as what's going on in our community, who we are, what we're up to. We're creating a little magazine. We're going to have some of our advertisers in there. We're going to have some of our articles, both from the Liberty Revolt and also from the KHNC website. As you guys know, we've been reaching out to people for a little bit now, inviting them to become a content creator and essentially write blogs, article posts about whatever it is that's important to them and utilize our platform to get it out there to people. So we've been inviting people to write and put it up on our website. And of course, I do a lot of writing. My co-patriot does a lot of writing. But Julia Morgan came all the way down from Englewood, south of Denver. She came all the way down from, well, I guess up from Englewood to help me design this newsletter so I can start delivering it to people. I'm pretty excited about it. Man, she's a wicked smart girl. She does video editing. She does graphic design for her Christian school down in Englewood. So awesome chick, and I definitely appreciate the help. One thing I was super impressed with is right off the bat, she immediately started outsourcing a lot of what I was outsourcing to her. So that was kind of interesting to see. Am I having mic troubles? Yes, Jennifer. Thank you. I think this is something that has been going on with this microphone. Um, I'm gonna play around with it during the commercial break and see if I can fix it. But thanks, Jennifer, for pointing that out. I really appreciate it. Um, how are you doing today, by the way? Great to see you. Good morning. Um, this Friday, we're having a movie night here at the radio station. For those who haven't checked out our recent Friday night events, we installed a projector screen, and we have renovated the studio to accommodate getting together and middle finger, giving a big middle finger to the lockdown authoritarian Nazis that say that you can't get together. I mean, these politicians have an invested interest in never ever letting this crisis go away. Testing 1 2, testing 1 2.
The Patriot Trading Group is a different kind of gold and silver company, cleaning up the industry for 21 years. Are you tired of the high-pressured sales tactics, the constant phone calls? Are you done with the bait and switch? You just want to be treated fairly with honesty and respect? That's exactly what you get when you call 800-951-0592. You have my word on it. I'm Joe Jaquin, CEO of the Patriot Trading Group. Check us out online at allamericangold.com.
Do you ever wake up and feel like there should be someone to run your errands? We want to get things done, but just don't have enough time. Many of us hire concierge services like dog walkers or food and grocery delivery. Why should your insurance needs be any different? At Badger Insurance Advisors, we act as your concierge for all things insurance, pairing quotes and prices, and recommending the best insurance for your needs. Call or text us today at 303-359-1799. Or check us out at badgerinsuranceadvisors.com.
It is not because men have made laws that life, liberty, and property exist. On the contrary, it is because life, liberty, and property existed beforehand that men made laws in the first place. What then is law? It is the collective organization of the individual right to lawful defense and punishing injustice. Frederick Bastiat, The Law.
Hey everybody, we are
Lady Antebellum.
When we started out in Nashville, we never imagined what we were going to be able to achieve. We got here because we worked together and had each other's backs.
In America, we have the privilege of being a diverse society made up of people from all kinds of backgrounds. And that's a big part of what makes this country such a great place to live.
When we put aside our differences and work together, there is no challenge too great to overcome. This message is brought to you by the U.S. Air Force.
and we're resettled. So let me know if this volume works out a little better, if this microphone is working out a little better. You guys will notice a lack of panic. That's because the microphone in that room has been acting funny with us for a while, particularly on cold mornings. Where was I? Oh, right. So this Saturday night, I'm heading over to John Malsby's. He lives at 7557 Weld County Road 100 in Wellington. Our Colorado governor has issued, I suppose, a suggestion that all Coloradoans take a day to eat vegetarian, which I suppose isn't the worst thing. My dear friend Suni, who I live stream with all the time, has big gripes about the meat industry. Totally understandable. And I totally see where that's coming from, and I can kind of get behind it a little bit. But I don't like being told what I can and can't eat. And furthermore, the beef being provided at this event, it's all been raised right here in Colorado, pasture grazed, all natural, no GMOs, no growth hormones, no chemicals, no antibiotics, none of that stuff. This is actually super high quality meat. So the event is Saturday night. I will be there. I'll be bringing my wife. I will be bringing my daughter. I think Julia will be there. If she's there, her father Jim's going to be there, so you'll get to meet him. He's a Corey guy. Obviously, John is going to be there. Now, that guy is a guy who has a serious enthusiasm for life and love for people. But essentially, he's hosting an Eat Beef event. It'll start at noon. He's going to dole out 25 pounds of his own beef, and then his friend Corey, who's a Johnstown business owner, she has her own local meat industry business. She's going to be selling it, but if you bring your own, he'd be happy to cook. We're going to have a list of speakers, myself included, that will also include Chuck Sylvester, third-generation rancher and former general manager of the National Western Stock Show. We'll have Weld County Commissioner Kerry Buck. We'll have Weld County Commissioner Lori Sane. We're hoping for Weld County Sheriff Steve Rames, former Senator Bob Schaefer. There will be porta potties, there will be basketball hoops, and there will be fireworks. And if you bring meat, John will cook it up. Even if you bring your own vegetarian meat, there's no problem whatsoever. I think John just absolutely loves to have people getting together and having a good time. So let's see. The woke cult. So I named today's episode A New Hope Rises. And I'm not just referring to the newsletter and the movie nights and the upcoming events. We're going to have little concerts, acoustic singer-songwriter shows here at the station. We're going to be having community chats. We had Rick Rodriguez speak last time. I'm not just talking about the things going on specifically here at the station that I'm pretty excited about. I'm referring to what's going on in the broader community. See, there is this trend. You may have heard of it. It's called cancel culture. And what's going on with the cancel culture is it's essentially this pseudo-righteous, woke cult elitism that you have to swear absolute loyalty to this cult, or you are declared immoral and kicked out. And so recently we had Sarah Silverman come out, and she, I guess, lost a job recently. Sarah Silverman came out and said that essentially she was done with political parties, which is interesting because as far as I can tell, she's never been a Republican. So she is referring specifically to the Democratic Party. And she said all those things about it. She said it was a woke cult. She said that there was this self-righteous elitism. And it's a good thing. I'm really happy to see so many celebrities kicking back against this. I mean, even Bill Maher. Now, Bill Maher, he's been kind of a little bit closer to a classical liberal. I wouldn't say he's fully a classical liberal, but he's been a little bit closer. He started talking about our priorities as a country. And he pointed to China, right? He's like, you know who doesn't care about goofy depictions of Chinese people in a Dr. Seuss book? The Chinese. Because they're serious as a prison fight. And he's absolutely correct about this. It is not an overstatement at all to say they are dedicated, committed, willing to do whatever it takes, willing to fight dirty to become the dominant world power. And they're well on their way. Look at our federal priorities. It's a mess, right? We're more concerned with making maternity uniforms for soldiers. And then when people say, well, gosh, is that where we should really be focusing? Journalists are being attacked by Pentagon representatives. So it's pretty interesting. And then we have the Grammys, right? So lowest ratings in a long time. Bill Burr got some flack for, I guess, mispronouncing some names or something. And he even called out what was going to happen. He was like, oh, now the feminists are going to come after me and say, why is this cis white male even talking about blah, 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 blah. And it's really funny. Just what's funniest to me is that it's so predictable. It's so absolutely predictable what's going to happen with all of this. So he calls it out. And just like he calls out, it happens. And you see what happened with Gina Carano, which I personally have a huge crush on currently, because I think that woman is totally awesome. I already had a huge crush on her, but then when she spoke out and immediately jumped back on to sign up to do a movie with the Daily Wire, I was like, you go, girl. Hell yeah. And I'm just going to say it. I'm pretty sure you can't cancel a woman who looks that great. You can't cancel that. You just can't. So, you know, what I'm saying, how is this something that gives us hope? And Siobhan, thanks for hanging out in the comment section on the YouTube. Appreciate it. It's an opportunity because it's exactly what it says it is. It's a cancel culture. And as they continue to cancel each other and cast people out, all we have to do, and I'm not referring to Republicans or conservatives, I'm just saying liberty-minded people, classical liberals, all we have to do is just stand here with the door open and let people in. All we have to do is be moderate and inviting, and people will want to join our team. They would rather disagree with someone civilly than try to compete in the woke Olympics and get cast out as a racist, bigoted, homophobe, whatever anyways. And I think now we're starting to see that enough celebrities have been canceled that we're getting to the point where once everybody's canceled, nobody is. And then could we possibly move on from this? And I'm sure I have, conservatives and libertarians and moderate Democrats or whoever who don't give a crap about celebrity. And fair enough. We shouldn't give a crap about celebrity. Most of these people, Ricky Gervais was right. Most of these people have spent less time in school than Greta Thunberg. They know nothing about the real world. So why do I care what these celebrities think? How do we win in politics? We win by winning over the unaffiliated and by winning over the people who aren't interested in politics. The left knows this.
The left knows this. While the right has been focused on policy, while the right has been focused on learning history and studying economics, the left has been focusing on messaging and activism. How do you know they're great at activism? Well, all the Democratic cities were on fire all summer long. So, right, a lot of these celebrities are faces and voices for propaganda. However, as a radio talk show host, it's very difficult for me to speak to people who aren't interested in politics. 80% of the population doesn't care about politics at all. They think it's ugly and disgusting. And hey, fair enough, man. It's absolutely ugly and disgusting and utterly disappointing. But that's where politics is won, by talking to the unaffiliated, by talking to those who are uninterested, and then giving them a kick in the rear end right before the election. Far more people vote in the presidential election than they vote in the primaries. And, you know, a big swath of the people who vote in the presidential election really don't understand policy. They don't understand how money works. They don't understand how our government works. I mean, hell, some of our congressmen and congresswomen don't understand how government works. Remember when AOC was like, the 3 branches of government, we have the House, the Senate, and the presidency. My goodness. Wow. Good job, guys. Congratulations. By the way, the 3 branches of government is the presidency, the Congress, and the legislative branch, right? Congress encompasses both the Senate and the House, but yeah, that just shows you how much people actually understand. But these are the people who are talking to people who otherwise don't understand politics. They don't care about politics. They don't spend all day researching policy. And, you know, yes, I wish more people did. But, you know, on the same side of that coin, we actually don't want to live in a country where everyone is constantly focusing on politics, because we actually need to compete with other countries like China, where the people, they don't have a voice, so they don't even think about politics that much. They focus on getting really great at a handful of things and making money. And if your country is full of people who are really great at making money, people who are really great at being industrious, conscientious people with intact families, that's what makes it strong. The politics, yeah, it can kind of influence in one direction or another. But if you have a country of children who grew up in single parent households with a culture that casts Dr. Seuss out as racist and bigoted, but then celebrates stripper dances at the Grammys, who spend all their time focusing on political activism, and none of them are actually that great at actually doing their jobs, well, your country's going to fail. Doesn't matter how great the intentions of this political activism is. So, you know, we actually need people to be able to take politics for granted a little bit and focus on their own lives, focus on raising their families, focus on doing a very great job at their job. So the celebrities and the teachers, the musicians, those are the people that actually talk to those uninterested and unaffiliated people and win them over in election season. And that's why it matters what they think. I agree. Trump actually got me into politics too. He really turned everything up. And it's not necessarily Trump, but also the reaction to it.
Hey all, I'm Lee Turner Jr. of Tango Firearms Training, inviting you to join me on Sunday mornings at 8 o'clock for my show, Don't Be a Victim, right here on KHNC 1360, The Roar of the Rockies.
This is Sam Shook, Navy Vet and Medicare Specialist. I just want to thank the KHNC listeners for their support and trust in me as their Medicare specialist. If you are currently on Plan F, we are in a window of opportunity that can save you a lot of money towards your monthly premium. Please contact me at 970-413-4939. If you are getting into Medicare soon or are already enrolled and have questions, please call me at 970-413-4939. Again, thanks, KHNC listeners.
Hi, KHNC listeners. Jerry Axum, real estate agent with Sears Real Estate. Established in 1972, locally owned, and our office is in Greeley. Growing up in Greeley, I am very familiar with the community and surrounding towns. I'd like to talk to you about your real estate questions, needs, or wants. Jerry Axum, 970-576-1089. 576-1089 or Jerry at SearsRealEstate.com.
Jerry at SearsRealEstate.com.
Hi, folks. I'm James Morgan, a realtor with Grisham and Associates, LLC. I know it must seem like there's a million realtors out there making all kinds of promises. Want to hear my big marketing promise? I promise honest and fair dealings with all those I do business with. That may sound old-fashioned, and it is not very catchy, but it is true. I am your Colorado real estate specialist. Farm, land, mountain cabins, or urban dwellings. When you work with my team, we'll get the right property for you and be upfront and honest with you every step of the way. Over the years, my clients have told me just that fact alone separates us from others in the industry. If you are considering buying or selling real estate, call me, James Morgan, at 720-203-0731 or visit my website at coloradoproperties.online. No catchy slogan, just a client-first, honest real estate experience. Hit it, girls.
Keep listening to the American Freedom Network.
Hey man, pass the battle over and take a couple of hits off the My Kind CBD. Get your CBD by going to 1360khnc.com and click on the shopping button, man.
Silly Jamaican, there's no THC in this product. It's certified THC free. Just go to the website, 1360khnc.com, click the shop.
Be careful when you're dealing with a conspiracy theorist. You may end up with a whole lot more truth than you're used to handling. This has been a public service announcement from KHNC.
So I'm going to go back to what I was talking about with how do we win in politics? And a lot of it isn't actually political activism, and it's absolutely not political elitism. So one of the things that I've spoken out about on this station many, many times was, what is my role as a host on a conservative radio show? Well, just as much as it is actually, pointing out my issues with left-wing policies and cultural movements, even more so, it's de-radicalizing our own side. Because who's listening to conservative radio? It's not a bunch of liberals, right? For all I know, there's probably not a single liberal listening to the AM radio broadcast. I may have a couple who tune into the live streams and the Facebook live stream, the YouTube live stream here and there. But even the people who follow my page, it's politically active people who, for the most part, probably already agree with me on a lot of things. Otherwise, they wouldn't have followed the page. And this goes particularly, especially for people on the left who are something like 6 times more likely to block, unfollow, dislike, unfriend pages or friends or people who have a different opinion as them. So if I'm talking to people who mostly agree with me, what is my most effective strategy at making the people who agree with me more appealing to those who are politically uninterested and unaffiliated? It's to actually de-radicalize people on my own side. It's to take away the ammunition that the opposition to whatever my movement is utilizes to discredit the movement, right? And for example, January 6th, terrible mistake. The people who committed that, I know it's not politically correct to say, retarded. Okay? Absolutely retarded. That was the most counterproductive thing that you could have possibly done, because it didn't win that movement anything. All it did was give ammunition to the other side to club anyone who even remotely agrees with those people on anything. It's the same reason that I speak out against the Confederate flag. Yes, I know that there was more context to the Civil War than just slavery. But a huge swath of this country, the vast majority, associate that flag with advocacy for racism. Why is it that the New York Times, the Washington Post, CNN, MSNBC all go to Trump rallies, go to wherever libertarians and conservatives are gathering, and find whoever's holding a Confederate flag and make that the headline photo? Because it does the most damage. So when I get on the radio as a conservative libertarian talk show host, my primary job is to tell conservatives and libertarians to get your act together, to start thinking about the optics, to start thinking about the messaging, because that's what's going to win over the people who are unaffiliated. That's what's going to win over the people who are uninterested in politics, which, by the way, is the largest political group, the unaffiliated. So while the left is out there casting everybody out as bad people, enacting this cancel culture, we need to be the moderate, inviting group that invites men. And I'm not saying Republicans, because I'm not a Republican. In fact, when it comes to a lot of things like foreign military interventions and things like that, I actually have a lot more in common with the Occupy Democrats and the progressives than I do with traditional Republicans. You know, I'm mostly libertarian on things, and I have never liked the Republican Party. Now, part of this is because I grew up in the Bush era, and in my personal opinion, whether it was through him or just through the atmosphere in the air because of the media depiction and the cultural depictions, I think he ruined Bush for an entire generation. And you may agree with some of his tax plans, but as far as I'm concerned, he exacerbated a lot of what was going on in the Middle East. And I understand 9/11, we have to fight back, right? We can't just absorb terrorist attacks and act like nothing happened. And I do agree that we need to have a strong and dominant military to resist tyranny. But the optics of it, he signed the Patriot Act, right? That tells you everything you need to know. And the optics that surrounded him ruined conservatism for a generation. It's half the reason we are where we are today. And I feel like conservatives have been complacent, absolutely complacent. They haven't focused on what really matters, and that is becoming teachers, becoming organizers, speaking out to people who don't already agree with them. That's why I think CPAC is kind of a joke, and why I really disliked Ted Cruz's speech. It seemed like much more of a performance. And same thing with this gathering at the Capitol on the 6th. It seemed much more like political performance than it seemed like anything that was making an impact. I say it all the time, guys. What does it mean to be a patriot? And this is something that I'm going to be thinking a lot more about in the upcoming days as I prepare this newsletter with Julia, because this newsletter is going to be a way to try to reach new people. I'm going to be approaching businesses who are owned by a wide variety of people who align in different parts of the political spectrum. So I want to present an image that wins over as many people as possible, that does not cater to a base that already agrees with me. It could not be a bigger waste of my breath to talk to people who already agree with me unless I'm de-radicalizing them. So this newsletter, I'm going to write an article in it called "What Does It Mean to Be a Patriot and Who is KHNC?" That's the radio station here, 1360 KHNC. Thanks for tuning in, guys. I appreciate it. I'm going to be writing, what does it mean to be a patriot? And I've been saying this for some time. Being a patriot doesn't mean that you love the geography, and it only partially means that you love our founding ideals. It means that you love Americans, even the ones that disagree with you. Think about it. You're listening to the Bucky Dillon Show.
Did the fire marshal take one look down your driveway and say, my guys aren't going down there? Or are there parts of it that just need a little more sun? Then call Affordable Tree at 970-568-6898. We can climb, cut, or trim your problems away, specializing in defensive space, upper and lower fire mitigation, forest health, plus we can save freshly hit beetle trees. So call us at 568-6898. That's 568-6898.
Why does it seem America is slowly sinking? Whose fault is it? It's not the Obamas or the Clintons. It's not Republicans or Democrats. It's not corporations, the military, or foreign countries. It's the Federal Reserve, a central banking system made up of private bankers that corrupt and control virtually all aspects of the world's money supply and the economy. All of the major problems of the world can be traced to the Federal Reserve and central banks of other countries. Hi, I'm Jason with the Colorado Front Range News Hour. Catch my show with co-host Brian here on KHNC 3 to 4, Monday through Friday. We sell gold and silver, the best way to protect your hard-earned money. Call 800-951-0592 and keep those blood-sucking bankers out of your wallet.
Do you ever wake up and feel like there should be someone to run your errands? We want to get things done, but just don't have enough time. Many of us hire concierge services like dog walkers or food and grocery delivery. Why should your insurance needs be any different? At Badger Insurance Advisors, we act as your concierge for all things insurance, pairing quotes and prices, and recommending the best insurance for your needs. Call or text us today at 303-359-1799 or check us out at badgerinsuranceadvisors.com.
Final full segment coming up. If you would like to call in and have a conversation with me and strategize how we can more successfully win over people who don't care about politics and win over the unaffiliated, the call-in number is 970-587-5171. That's 970-587-5171. When you call, I will answer it, but you have to give me a second because I'm in the other room. So I will have to trot out into the control room, turn on the phone, and then before I can respond to you, I have to run back into the studio room. So if you call, just don't hang up before I can get back to the room. This has happened a handful of times when the microphone has been acting up and I've been in this room. So again, the Friday night event, we are again having a movie night. It will be from 5 o'clock to 9 o'clock. there will be food being catered for free. I don't know who's catering this one. Last time we had Subway from just up the street from us here at the station cater the event. And we are reaching out to make sure they know how much we appreciate it. So definitely stop by Subway and tell them that KHNC sent you. 970-587-5171 if you want to join me on the air. How to win in politics. Well, you can't be angry. You can't be someone who is not willing to make negotiations, someone who's not willing to make concessions. Yes, you want to speak with authority. You want to speak with conviction because, that's part of the art of persuasion. But if you have a conversation with somebody about politics in a confrontational way, they're going to shut their ears off. They're not going to listen to you. You actually have to be willing to hear them out and try to find common ground with them. So when I'm having conversations about politics with people who don't agree with me, I don't jump in there and start throwing haymakers and demand that they vote for the person that I think they should vote for, or that they like the political party that maybe I like, which at this point is no political parties, right? I've been thinking about starting a totally new political party entirely, but I actually do believe we need people who think differently. We need people who identify different problems and propose different solutions. Because as we move forward as a country, we're going to face an infinite variety of problems, and we're going to need a variety of solutions. And I don't hold any of my policy preferences as sacrosanct, as in I understand that a policy I may believe in may be effective today, stagnate tomorrow, and be counterproductive the day after that. And there's a legitimate reason for us to have both sides of the conversation. So when you're talking with somebody new about politics, and I'm not saying when you're debating in front of an audience. When you're debating in front of an audience, your job is to make that other person look as terrible as possible, as immoral as possible, and hit them hard. I'm talking about actually winning people over. When you're debating publicly, you're actually not trying to win over the person you're talking to. You're not trying to be friendly. You're trying to win over the people watching you debate that person, which is an entirely different game. I'm talking about when you're actually having a personal conversation with somebody and you want to win them over. You have to build a foundation of trust and friendship first. And you have to build a foundation of moral authority. And I'm going to go into this in the second hour when I begin talking about some of the dangers of welfare programs, government spending, and democracies. Because there is a trap in political structures like that. And I'm going to talk about morality, and I'm going to bring up some strong arguments for a lot of these well-intentioned liberal ideas are actually pretty amoral at the very core of them. And I'll bring up why. But in this first hour, I'm really focusing on just how do you have conversations with people? How do you win over the unaffiliated? You have to start with a foundation of friendship. And then you have to identify things that you have in common and focus on trying to make a case for solving that problem, not a case for opposing them. And, sometimes you just have to spoon feed them a little bit. You just have to give them a little taste and just try to get them to move 1 inch in your direction. and then call it and talk about the weather, whatever, and then reapproach that conversation again. And the next time you're interacting with them, which hopefully you will be because you've established a friendship with them. And over time, that trust, that friendship, and the mutual pursuit of solutions for a common problem are going to make them so much more receptive to your broader worldview. That's how you do it. By supporting each other, by listening to each other, by being willing to negotiate, by being a little bit willing to concede. And if you notice that they're not doing any of those things, well, don't waste your breath. If you're talking to someone who absolutely will not concede, maybe argue with them for a moment and then drop it. Focus on being a likable person. Because it doesn't matter how great your political ideas are if they think you're the bad guy. And some people have already made up their mind. They're not the people you should be talking to. You're listening to the Bucky Dillon Show.
Higher rates, lower rates, negative rates, bail-ins, bailouts, and so much more. You know why you need to own gold and silver. At the Patriot Trading Group, we're a different kind of company. We have no commission salespeople, no boiler room sales calls, no high-price spokesman. We believe in treating you with honesty and respect and delivering you the best products at the best price. Buying or selling, call us at 800-951-0592 or go to our website at allamericangold.com.
You don't sit behind a desk every day to earn a living. You're out and about making it happen. And sometimes you get a little bit behind on your paperwork, like bookkeeping and paying your taxes. It's easy to get behind on paying your taxes. It happens to the best of us. And you know what happens next. The big, bad IRS comes knocking on your door. And when that happens, you need to call the good old boys at the Tax Doctor. Let them do what they do best. Deal and negotiate with the IRS so you pay the lowest you can in back taxes that the law allows. We are a 100% U.S.-based company, and we've saved our clients millions over the years in back taxes. If you owe $10,000 or more in back taxes, call my friends right now at the Tax Doctor and learn more.
800-917-8611. 800-917-8611. 800-917-8611. That's 800-917-8611.
Hi, this is Bob Enyart with Colorado Rights Alive. Please work to abolish abortion, but reject all so-called pro-life efforts to regulate child killing. Even on the surface, regulations undermine the very concept of the right to life, and they convince even our own judges, tragically, that the fetus they consent to killing must not be a real child. See AmericanRTL.org/regulations for more.
LibertyRevoltMedia.com.
You're absolutely right, Siobhan. Those are absolutely the ones that speak the loudest on both sides. And, I actually did a stint for some time working as a actual on-the-ground journalist filming political events. I worked for a company called Compass Colorado. And they were kind of a conservative company that was looking for essentially bad publicity on, Democrat cultural movements, and looking for someone to go physically confront and call out the corruption of Democratic lawmakers and politicians. So, one thing I noticed, particularly when I was covering these dueling rallies, and when I went to Trump rallies and Bernie Sanders rallies is the activist base. They're not the greatest people. I mean, yeah, there are a lot of people who have devoted their lives to politics, and you could consider activists who are great people. But a lot of times, the people with the loudest voices are the most shameless. They're the most aggressive. It's funny. One time I was at one of these rallies, and InfoWars reporter came to give me an interview, and he asked me what my thoughts were in general. He asked a very broad question, and I thought about it for a second, and then I started speaking about the issue of having the big tech surveillance state on your phone and in your home, right? And I started speaking out about that a little bit and how they gather your data and then use it to profit and then fund radical political campaigns and use it to market to you, and who knows what they're doing with that, with the data they collect from spying on you, right? And while I'm trying to say this thoughtful thing, this older woman with sideburns comes up next to me and angrily shouts, "Impeach the demon rats!" And I was just like, damn it, right? Yeah. And you know what? That's actually what they show the most. It's interesting because the big media outlets, their coverage is almost like the reverse image of what we actually have going on in our society, because it doesn't get great ratings to cover normal. It gets great ratings to cover the abnormal. And so they find, it's always the shock and the horror and the atrocity and the doom and radical people saying radical things. And that really does poison our politics, that we don't have like just regular news commentary and just normal, moderate opinions being pushed to the forefront of people's news feeds. It's always the most extreme stuff. And yeah, it's so cringy. It's so cringy. Some of these people, there was absolutely LARPing on both sides. It was this Patriot rally and an Antifa BLM rally simultaneously in opposition to each other. And the right wingers were all dressed up like, a lot of them were like in their 60s and 70s, and they're dressed up like GI grandma. And then on the other side, you have these scrawny Antifa kids. Oh God, it was absolutely ridiculous. You're listening to the Bucky Dillon Show. This live stream is going to end, and a new one is going to start. I've got to retitle them and reopen the page. I'll see you soon.
Have you always wanted to be on the radio? Do you have strong opinions or ideas that you think should be heard? Why not host your own radio show right here on the Roar of the Rockies? You'll be on the same station as Brian Kilmeade, Michael Savage, and Alex Jones. You can brand yourself as an expert in your industry and grow your business. Imagine telling your potential clients you have your own radio show. That gives you instant credibility. For more information, call us at 970-587-5003.
Do you know interest rates are at an all-time low? If your mortgage rate is 4% or more, you need to call SCL. Hi, this is Larry Jagger, the president of SCL Mortgage. Now may be the time to refinance and pay off expensive non-deductible interest debt and skip 2 months payments. Or are you self-employed? We can use your bank statements to qualify you. Find SCL at myspecialmortgage.com or call 970-444-1222 and myspecialmortgage.com.